Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for coming down this morning as we embark upon the wonderful Memorial Day holiday weekend, start of summer, boating season, swimming, everything that we've come to love about being here in the town of Islip and living on the water. I'm pleased to be joined by members of the town board this morning. We have Councilman Jorge Guadron, we have Councilman John Lorenzo, and Councilman Mike McElway. Also joining us are Public Safety Commissioner Tony Prudenti, the Commissioner of Parks and Public Works, Tom Owens. That's not staying. Also with us we have Islip's Senior Chief Lifeguard, Danny Walsh. From the New York Seascape, Mary Kamai, who's the director. Also with us, the general manager of Fire Island Ferries, Dave Anderson. And we have also with us from the 3rd Precinct, Raphael Kano, who's representing the commanding officer, Vinny Moronsky, who could not be here with us this morning. And also we have members of the Suffolk County Police Marine Bureau, particularly Lieutenant Tom Stanzoni, and members of the department. We have our park rangers here too, members of the Marine Division of the town, and people that are committed to making sure that we keep the public safe every day, and especially this time of the year. Monday, May 27th, obviously, is Memorial Day, signifying the start of the prime boating season here on Long Island, and particularly in the town of Islip, with our entire southern border being on the water and home to many lakes and streams. But before we begin, I want to take a moment to reflect on the significance of this day. It's a time to honor the brave men and women who have sacrificed their lives in service to our country. Their dedication and courage have afforded us to enjoy the beautiful waters that surround our town. As we pay tribute to their memory, let us also pledge to embody the values they fought for: responsibility, safety, and a commitment to protecting one another. We're all eager to get out on the water, but let's not forget that water can be as unforgiving as it is inviting. Every year we hear heartbreaking stories of accidents that could have been prevented with a little more care and preparation. So before you hit the throttle, take a moment to consider your role as a boater. Whether you're at the helm or along for the ride, you have a part to play in ensuring that everybody gets back safely. For you captains out there, Captain Lorenzo, remember your boat, your responsibility. Don't let a few drinks or a moment of inattention turn a day of fun into a time or into a lifetime of regret. And for passengers, don't be afraid to speak up if you see something that just doesn't feel right. We're all in this together. It goes without saying that alcohol and drug use slows reaction time. It impairs decision making and inhibits the motor skills vital for maintaining control of a vessel. Just as hazardous, inattention, inexperience, they lead to risky decisions and or operator negligence. A lack of experience is as hazardous in our waters and ranks as the second leading cause of fatality, just behind alcohol use. Overwhelmingly, the majority of accidents are results of collisions, typically with other boats. And as you can imagine, speeding dramatically increases the risk of the deadliest types of boating accidents. In nearly all cases, death or serious injury occurs when individuals are separated from their vessel or are thrown and land in the water. And that's why wearing a life jacket isn't just a suggestion, it's a necessity. Remember, one life jacket per passenger is a requirement on all boats, and all passengers are required to wear a life jacket. Nearly half of all reported boating accidents could have been avoided if the victim had only been wearing a life jacket. You wouldn't drive a car without a seatbelt, so please, on the water, the life jacket is your seatbelt. it will save your life. And we have, I just want to remind everyone, we have a boater safety course coming up on June 8th. And as many of you know, the state has required every watercraft operator over the age of 14 years of age to have taken that boater certification. All boaters, regardless of age, will be required to have that certification come January 1st of 25. So completion of our one-day Town of Islip course is for lifetime certification. Just have to take it once. So call our Cultural Affairs office at 224-5430 for more information. And with that, I would like to ask our Commissioner of Public Safety, who really does a fine job, Anthony Prudenti, to come up and share a few words with us.
Thank you, Supervisor, and thank everybody for being here at beautiful Bay Shore Marina on a gorgeous day. As a boater myself, really looking forward to the boating season. Just talking to Dave Anderson from Fire Island Ferries. What a long winter, and not very much of spring anyway. So we're looking forward to the warm weather. Just to recap, our last season, just with the Islip Harbor Masters, we had 453 calls for service. We inspected 130 vessels. We had 9 search and rescues, and that's a tick up from the year before, which is a little concerning. And unfortunately, 4 people fatalities in those rescue operations. We're looking this year to expand our boat dock and ride, which is harbor masters on the board of the boat. They take bikes, they dock in Fire Island, and they bike the boardwalk. Really good program. This is the 3rd season. Really looking forward to that. Our drone program started last year with 1 drone and 1 operator. We're now up to 4 FAA drone pilots, which is great for that shark spotting. And like the supervisor said, please, if you see anything or anything nefarious on the water, don't hesitate to call 224-5306, which is the town's dispatch, and that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Thank you. Looking forward to a nice season. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Tony. And hopefully when we repeat this boater safety press conference next year, he'll be reporting that we had 0 fatalities on the water. Next, I'd like to ask our Commissioner of Parks, Recreation, and Public Works to come up. Busy time of the year for Tom and his crew, getting everything ready, our parks ready, and our pools. We've got 3 swimming pools in the town of Islip, so along with that comes the responsibility of keeping everyone safe in those pools. So, Tom?
Thank you, Supervisor. It's very exciting this weekend for a Parks Commissioner. I just want to thank my staff, and more importantly, I want to thank the Supervisor and the Town Board. You know, as you drive through the town and you see all the new resources, that takes a lot of courage. We got to deal with taxes, so I really want to thank them for their confidence and support. And we really look forward to working with our partners, Public Safety, Islip Public Safety, and Suffolk County Police Department. And I just want to thank everybody. We're all manned up and womaned up, and we're ready for whatever comes our way. You're going to hear from Danny, our lifeguard manager, shortly, and I just want to thank everybody for their support. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you for mentioning that. It does take a lot of resources, and there are tough decisions that have to be made about that. There's a lot of competition for the resources, but certainly public safety is paramount to all of us, and I know I speak for the members of the town board who really, really care about each and every one of our residents. And to those resources in the parks, our pools, Byron Lake Pool is opening this season, a brand new pool after decades. That pool has been there in the community. So many people are so excited to be seeing that new pool this season and tell stories of going there as a kid, learning to swim there. So it really is an exciting time for parks.
Or I'll be working at Walmart.
I don't know if they'll have you, but in any event, I would like to invite our senior chief lifeguard, Dan Walsh, who's been with us a lot of years and does a wonderful job. Danny, please.
Thank you, Supervisor. Thank you guys for coming here. We're very excited. This weekend we're opening up some of our beaches to swimming for the Memorial Day weekend. We got a nice full staff, and there's just a few things that, you know, we can ask of the public to kind of help us, the lifeguards and the safety staff, get through so everybody has a safe and enjoyable summer. The main thing we like to tell people is that you should always try to swim in lifeguard protected areas. Make sure there's a lifeguard on duty. Parents or guardians too that are watching children in or around the water, make sure to try to avoid distractions such as reading, consuming a lot of alcohol, being on your phone a lot. Statistics show that a drowning can occur in under 20 seconds, and unfortunately most of the time it occurs not because there's a lack of supervision, but just a lapse in supervision. So it could just take that one moment where you're not paying attention that something can happen. We are going to have, as Commissioner Owens mentioned before, we'll have our pools opening up later in the season. A lot of our pools provide swimming classes and swim lessons that we highly recommend. They do water safety courses. They have classes for beginners, intermediate, any kind of swimming level. We always recommend too, no matter what your swimming level is, you should always kind of swim with a partner or a pair. We call it the buddy system. Supervisor Carpenter also mentioned the life jackets. We always inspect the life jackets. We like them to be U.S. Coast Guard approved life jackets. We find that those are the safest. And we kind of warn against people using either like a foam toy or inflatable toys as safety devices, because again, those are not as safe as having a U.S. approved Coast Guard or life jacket. And the last thing too, if you do see a distressed swimmer or somebody that's having trouble and you're not a trained professional, you want to make sure you have someone call 911, alert a lifeguard. If you're at a pool or there's a pole you can extend to somebody or a flotation device you can throw to them, you can do that. But the Red Cross has a saying, it's always reach or throw, do not go. All right, we don't want a second person in the water and now we have to fish two people out. So yeah, if everybody just does their part, I think we'll have a healthy and safe summer, and we're looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dan, for those tips that I guess we all know, but sometimes don't remember. Next, I would like to invite Mary Kamai, who is the director of New York Seascape, for a few remarks.
Hello all. Thank you. And thank you for inviting me to participate in this here today. I'm a longtime resident of Islip, so it makes it even more special to be here. I am the director of the New York Seascape Program, which is the conservation initiative of the New York Aquarium. And for those of you who don't know, the New York Aquarium is part of the 5 zoological parks that we have in New York City, operated by the Wildlife Conservation Society, along with the Bronx Zoo, who many of you have been to. And we also do conservation in 60 countries around the world. But now we're doing marine conservation right here in our own backyard, and that's the work that I do with my team. I brought some show and tell items, so if afterwards anybody's interested in understanding how we do some of the research that we do here, we've been working on tagging sharks and looking at the importance of New York waters for sharks for a very long time. These are really amazingly biodiverse waters, and very few people understand how important they are and how important actually sharks are to the marine ecosystem. Sharks have been getting a lot of attention, and so that's why I'm actually here today to talk to you about what's happening a little bit in our waters. So I'm going to let me just stop and tell you a little bit about sharks in general. Right? Sharks are one of I sometimes call them one of the most maligned animals on the planet, as well as the most vulnerable and threatened. It's almost like they suffer from an identity crisis, right? And more as we have these interactions, we're starting to see a lot of negative messaging around sharks. So I'm here just to talk to you a little bit about what the realities are, what the threats are, and what we can do to address some of those things. So this is a wild ocean, right? I mean, it's just full of life, and this is sharks' home. They have been here way longer than any humans have ever inhabited Long Island or any of our coastline, millions of years, and it's their living room, it's their backyard. We have been swimming with sharks, all of us who've been in the water, as our whole lives. We just have not really realized it. They have always been here, and it's really good that they're here because they actually are really an integral part of keeping our marine ecosystems very healthy. So I'm happy to know, when I know that there's sharks in the water, it means that this is really our ecosystems are healthy and improving, and that's really important. There used to be a lot more sharks here, actually. The past 50 years, we have been fishing sharks very heavily for decades now for their fins, for their meat, and as a result, shark populations have very seriously declined. Some cases, some of the 27 species that we have here off our waters have been declined by 60 to 90%. So populations are really depleted, which is part of the conversation that we're having now around some of the more shark interactions. And I'll put a little reference to that. Oh, okay. Speed it up. Okay, sorry. So, sharks are in trouble. We've had lots of sharks. As some of you know, we used to have a Mako tournament here. Because of the depletions, those sharks are now no longer here, and we can't pursue some of these recreational commercial fishes like we used to. Why are there sharks? If the sharks are so depleted, why are we seeing what we think are more interactions, right? We think there's a little uptick in the trend of interactions with people. In the last, since 2017, maybe there have been about 15 interactions. We don't really know for sure. Lots of hypotheses out there. Water is cleaner. Sharks are coming back. More people in the water. We know there's a lot more cameras. There's a lot more interactions with people in the water. So we're trying to figure out what's driving these changes. Is it a trend? And what's behind it? Is it climate change? Is it sharks, more people, etc.? Sharks are here eating. This is their living room, their kitchen. And we're in their kitchen when they're feeding. It's like being in the kitchen with lots of knives out, right? Most of the species here only eat small fishes, crustaceans, mollusks. We're not part of their diet. And so when there is an interaction with humans, it's usually because we're coming between them and their food, or we just happen to be in the same place at the same time. They have teeth, the teeth are out, and it's fortunately, usually just a scrape, right? But they're here because our waters are really healthy and productive. I'm almost done. I'll speed it up. The relative risk of encountering a shark is really, really minor. I mean, compared to the things that we're talking about, it's very, very low. I like to joke that you're more apt to get killed by a vending machine falling on you than actually having any kind of interaction or fatal interaction with a shark. So it's important for us to keep that in perspective. In terms of beach safety, what can we do? Even though, if we are seeing more animals out in the water, there are a lot of hypotheses out there what to do, and I'll just give you a couple that we tend to be comfortable with. And one of them is, if you see bait in the water, do not be swimming among that bait. There's lots of more. We're seeing more and more schools of menhaden out here. The waters are healthier. We are seeing population shift in distributions. Do not be in the water when there are lots and lots of bait fish around, because you are going to be in the potential crossfire. We say not to swim during dusk and dark, less so because the sharks are feeding them. The sharks can feed all day long. It's because our eyesight is not very good, right? So at that time, as we know, driving, etc. So don't be in the water at that time if you can help it. And if you are in the water, as Dan said, we want to make sure that you always are swimming with somebody, there's a lifeguard around, something like that, so that we can make sure that if there is an issue or an interaction, that there's help right there. The last thing I want to say is how we talk about sharks really matter. Sharks are in trouble. Conservation is beginning to show a slight uptick in populations after 30 years. I've been working on them for 30 years. We're seeing some sharks come back, but shark populations have not exploded. These are not really dangerous marine life. They're wild animals that live here, and we're a guest in their habitat. So it's best if we talk about things like in terms of interactions rather than bites or attacks, because that's really what's happening here. And finally, we are investing more research and science to try to understand what's going on in these populations, working with the New York DEC, Stony Brook, and other experts in the area. And if you're interested in learning more about sharks, I welcome you to come to the New York Aquarium, where we have a phenomenal new shark exhibit and can show you how we train the sharks to feed from targets, etc. They are really magnificent animals. Our waters are really safe and healthy, and I want everybody to enjoy them and not be afraid to be here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I thank you for that, and I still urge everyone to be wary and listen to Dan and Mary. I can really appreciate your advocacy for sharks are our friends, but I'm not quite sure of that.
I'm not exactly saying they're our friends.
Okay. Next, I'd like to bring up the general manager of Fire Island Ferries. There's so much interaction between what happens with the people going back and forth, and I know a lot of it involves the 3rd Precinct, and I'm so glad that Raphael is here. Especially late night, Saturday night, when that late boat comes off, there are people that maybe have overindulged, and it is a bit of a challenge for our people down here in the marina. It's a challenge for those along Maple Avenue, and certainly a challenge for the teams at the ferry company. So Dave, if you would please.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Supervisor. Traditionally, Memorial Day weekend is the kickoff to summer and kickoff to beach and boating here on Long Island. With that being said, the Great South Bay and all its tributaries get densely populated by recreational boaters and users of personal watercraft such as jet skis, stand-up paddleboards, kayaks, etc. Our guys' jobs as captains is difficult enough, having to navigate over to Fire Island in adverse weather conditions, various types of personalities that are on the ferries, such as people like the supervisor mentioned. It makes their job difficult. But in 2005, a beautiful young 11-year-old girl was killed out here on the Great South Bay by a drunk, irresponsible, unsafe, reckless boater. Okay, that girl was Brianna Leineck. Brianna was taken from her family and all those who loved her. You heard the supervisor talk about the boating safety certificate and the boating safety laws. Brianna's mom, Gina, has championed her way through New York State to make that happen. I have personally been helping her lead the charge, not only take that to the state level, but take it to the national level. And as you heard the supervisor say, January 1, 2025, regardless of your age, you are going to have a boating safety certificate present on you while you're operating your boat. So with that being said, we want everybody to enjoy these waters. We want you to do it responsibly. We want you to do it safely. Like I said, our jobs are difficult enough. What we don't need is the reckless boater out there that is going to inhibit our ability to do our job safely as well. Thank you.
Dave, you might want to use this opportunity, not only reckless boaters, but reckless ferry passengers who might think it might be an interesting diving platform, and what the penalties might be. Since
you brought it up. We do have a problem with occasionally people jumping off a ferry. Why anybody would think that is a great idea, I have no idea. But there is a code, a U.S. code, for what they call rail jumping. And rail jumping can be anything that interferes with the safe operation of a vessel. That could be a fight that breaks down board or the boat. It could be somebody jumping off. It could be any number of things that takes the crew's responsibility away from the passengers or the vessel. That penalty is a civil penalty, and it's punishable up to $35,000. We've made a lot of progress at the national level trying to push this message across. Things have gotten better, but like we say at the ferry company, we can fix a lot of things, but we can't fix stupid. Thank you.
On that note, thank you so much, Dave. I really appreciate it. Also, I would like to bring up Lieutenant Tom Stanzoni from Suffolk County Marine Bureau, and certainly we work hand in hand with Suffolk County PD, both at the precinct level and certainly the Marine Bureau. So, Lieutenant, if you would, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Supervisor. My name is Tom Stanzoni, Lieutenant in the Suffolk County Police Department Marine Bureau. We're very excited for the season. The season's starting, the weather's getting nice. Memorial Day weekend will kick off the season for us. We're gonna have a lot of boaters out in the water. We ask all of the boaters to just be mindful of other boaters, swimmers, and operate safely, operate defensively. We are going to be putting out additional boat patrols, additional beach patrols. We're going to be on the lookout for safe operation, safety equipment. You'll see us out there doing boat stops, checking for the proper equipment, and, as was mentioned earlier, the Safe Boater Certificate. This year, anyone born on or after January 1st, 1978 must have that certificate. Beginning next year, it's regardless of age. So we're going to be on the lookout for people operating safely with the proper certificates and the proper safety equipment. We look forward to a great season. We're ready for it. The weather looks like it's going to be great. Please just be mindful of other boaters and those around you. Operate safely and have a great summer. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You know, they're out there protecting us, both the Marine Bureau and our harbor guys, but they're also doing education in those inspections and so forth. So we really thank them for that. We obviously are available for any questions that the media may have. But before we go to do that, I really want to thank everyone for coming down. You see people here who are extraordinarily busy. I particularly want to thank the members of the town board who took the time to be here. This is a town-wide issue. It's an island-wide issue. It is so, so very important, and we do take it seriously. And for all the levels of government that are here, and industry too, and the ferry company, thank you so much for being here. Really, really appreciate it. So with that, does anyone have any questions? Okay, with that, we'll say have a happy, healthy boating season. Thank you again.